Welcome back to the channel, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for joining me today. Welcome, all my new supporters. I hope you all are healthy and well today, and I hope your day was fulfilled with nothing but joy and positivity. Let's jump right into this video. This title really caught my attention, man. Highly recommend it. How Canada quietly holds America's survival hostage? Quietly? Ain't nothing quiet about it. The whole world knows that Canada has us like this in a full Nelson. Ain't no quietly, bro. We are starving. Our economy is starving. Hungry for travelers. Hungry for some dollar bills. We are in debt. ×2. Ain't got no travelers. We ain't got no businesses running. People are stressed out. And it's Canada, bro. This is what happens when you violate people, though. You know, it's not like Canada decided to do such things. Oh, let's just ruin your economy. I'm pretty sure Canada didn't even have it in mind. Like, Mark Carney did not have it in his mind. Like, maybe if we split up and make our own decisions and do this and this and be more dependable on Canada, then it's gonna take a huge toll on the U.S. It's gonna ruin our economy. He wasn't thinking that. Wasn't nobody thinking that. Everybody's just trying to save themselves now because the U.S. has only been thinking about themselves. So now everybody else is trying to find other ways to save their economy. We have no one else to run to because we done screwed everybody over, man. And screwed them all over. And if we haven't screwed them over, it means we are still enemies. And we just haven't done business yet. We have no relations. And we don't know what's on Trump's mind. That's why I said yet. Because he's been talking to other world leaders in other countries that are not even our allies, would have never even thought to be allies with us. And that's how we should feel vice versa. But I guess not. Let's jump right into this video and check out how Canada has the United States economy and a full Nelson. Straight up. Original video link will be down below in the description. Thank you everyone for joining me.
Everyone thinks America protects Canada, but Canada actually controls America's survival. And most Americans have no idea. But here's what nobody talks about.
I gotta stop letting the military think is, you gotta stop thinking the military got full control and everything we can offer is just our military, Nobody else can help us the same way or provide something that equals it. You gotta stop thinking that, This for my Americans and anybody else that may be confused. Canada literally runs our cities, runs majority of our country with electricity and everything. You know how much water is getting generated out there for electricity? For us? Because we are the closest allies? Where we go get the power from? Australia? Like, bro, who you think is in control of all of these? Them exports and this, that. Who you think is in control? It's our neighbors. I don't understand, bro. Because we do have some Americans that be like, well, Canada don't do nothing for us. Mm-hmm. What about that vehicle you're driving right now? I promise you it ain't 100% American. I promise you. I put that on me. It ain't 100% American. The products in your stores ain't 100% American. Canada don't got none of our products in their stores. We still got Canadian products within our stores. You know why? Because we're trying to win back the people, bro. You got us in a chokehold. Out here naming these streets and businesses after Canada. After the provinces, after your lakes and stuff. How pathetic. You should be saving money because you ain't making none right now because of what's going on. Why are we wasting it on things that the Canadians aren't even going to see? They love us still. It's the government and the president. Stop trying to make changes to your business and your daily life for Canadians as if you were the issue, as if you feel guilty about something. All right now.
Everyone thinks America protects Canada, but Canada actually controls America's survival. And most Americans have no idea. But here's what nobody talks about. Canada quietly holds the keys to 3 things that could bring America to its knees overnight.
Power?
I'm about to show you why geography made Canada the most powerful country America can never conquer, and why every US president secretly fears the day Canada figures this out.
Of course.
Look, when most people think about US-Canada relations, they picture America as the big brother protecting little Canada. The US has 10 times Canada's population, 15 times the military budget, and the world's most powerful economy. But here's the thing about geography. It doesn't care about your military budget. And Canada sits on top of 3 geographic advantages so powerful that they could theoretically shut down half of America without firing a single shot.
Facts.
The craziest part? Most Canadians don't even realize the power they're sitting on. Therefore, they've never used it. But geography doesn't lie. And the numbers I'm about to show you will change how you see North America forever. Let's start with the most terrifying one: water. Canada controls 20% of the world's fresh water. That's more than any other country on Earth. But here's where it gets scary for America. The Great Lakes system, which provides drinking water to 40 million Americans, flows through Canada. Therefore, let me paint you a picture. Lake Superior, Lake Huron, Lake Erie, all of these connect through Canadian territory. The St. Lawrence Seaway that carries this water to the Atlantic runs right through Quebec. But it gets even worse. The Niagara River that connects Lake Erie to Lake Ontario, Canadian border. The Detroit River connecting Lake Huron to Lake Erie, Canadian border. Canada could theoretically control the water supply to Chicago, Detroit, Cleveland, Buffalo, and dozens of other major American cities. And we're not just talking about drinking water. The Great Lakes system powers hydroelectric plants that provide electricity to millions of Americans. It's the shipping route that carries iron ore from Minnesota to steel plants in Pennsylvania. Therefore, if Canada ever decided to restrict water flow through their territory, they could shut down American steel production, cut power to major cities, and create the worst water crisis in US history. But here's the geographic nightmare that keeps Pentagon planners awake at night. America can't do anything about it. You can't invade Canada to secure water rights. The border is 5,500 miles long, longer than the distance from New York to London, and most of it runs through wilderness that would make Afghanistan look like a parking lot. Therefore, America's entire industrial heartland depends on water that flows through a country they can't control and can't conquer. The geographic reality is simple. Canada holds America's most vital resource hostage, and there's nothing America can do about it except hope Canada stays friendly.
It's a hope. Yo,
But water
bro.
is just the beginning.
Imagine not having no ability to control your country. And now you're just waiting like, oh, okay, all this madness and everything we have done. Do you think that Canada could shut off? Da, 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 da? Like, bro, these people can't sleep at night. People that work at the Pentagon and everything, this is what they're thinking about 24/7. And this is stuff I didn't really think about. Cutting the water supply off, bro. That's wicked. Now that's wicked. You think Carney will really do that? Or maybe like make us pay. Probably might make us pay for it. Cause you trying to extort us, they finna extort us back. That's exactly what Carney's saying. You want to extort us to begin with. Now Canada has multiple reasons to extort the US and just ruin our economy. So much power that lies within that country.
But water is just the beginning. Let's talk about energy. Canada supplies 20% of America's electricity. That's enough power for the entire state of California.
20%? That's it? 20%?
But here's where the geography gets really interesting.
Wait, but what about New York City and all that?
Let's talk about energy. Canada supplies 20% of America's electricity.
Never mind. I didn't see the arrows pointing which way. Never mind.
That's enough power for the entire state of California. But here's where the geography gets really interesting. Most of this power comes from hydroelectric dams in Quebec and British Columbia, and it all flows south through a handful of transmission lines that cross the border at very specific geographic points. Therefore, Canada could theoretically black out the entire northeastern United States just by flipping a few switches.
Yup.
But it gets worse.
Facts.
Canada is also America's largest oil supplier. They send 4 million barrels of oil per day to the US through pipelines that run from Alberta to refineries in Texas, Illinois, and Oklahoma. And here's the geographic choke point that should terrify every American. Most of this oil flows through a single pipeline system called Enbridge. If Canada ever shut down
It's a single pipeline, bro. That's all it takes. Hey, give me the wrench. Bro, give me the wrench. That's all it takes, bro. This is crazy.
flows through a single pipeline system called Enbridge. If Canada ever shut down Enbridge, gas prices in America would double overnight.
Water prices.
Therefore, the entire American economy would grind to a halt.
First of all, the water prices will go up. Electricity will go up. Oil, like gas, people want to go purchase, get petrol for their vehicles and everything. I've been trying to stop saying gas. Get petrol for their vehicles and everything. That's going to go up again. Now, the water being generated for energy within these power plants? Please let me know. Is it just are we just recycling? Well, are you guys recycling the same clean fresh water that we can still drink but use for energy? Or are you using dirty water, contaminated water strictly for the energy, but just recycling it rather than pushing it out, allowing us to drink it as well because it's just solely used for power, you know? Reusing that same water for energy so that we don't have to keep wasting fresh water, huh? Is that like what it's basically like? Like it'll hold the water, and then when it's time to turn that thing back on, it gets to generate the water again. Please let me know. I don't know too much about these power plants and everything, and like dams and stuff. I don't really know too much. Well, I haven't really done too much research behind them, but I'm interested in learning a little bit more about them, guys. There is Link.
Double overnight. Therefore, the entire American economy would grind to a halt. But here's what makes this even more dangerous. Canada's energy infrastructure is designed to flow south. The geography forces it. The Canadian Shield, that massive granite formation that covers half of Canada, creates natural barriers that funnel energy resources toward the US border. Therefore, Canada's entire energy economy is built around supplying America. But that also means Canada has built the perfect geographic weapon without even realizing it. And unlike oil from the Middle East that has to cross oceans, Canadian energy flows through pipelines and power lines that are impossible to defend. The US-Canada border crosses mountains, forests, and wilderness areas where a small team could sabotage critical infrastructure and disappear without a trace. Therefore, America's energy security depends on 5,500 miles of undefended border running through some of the most remote terrain on Earth. But here's the really crazy part. This geographic vulnerability is getting worse, not better. As America transitions to renewable energy, they're becoming even more dependent on Canadian hydroelectric power. And as American oil production shifts to harder-to-extract sources, Canadian oil becomes more critical. Therefore, every year that passes, Canada's geographic stranglehold on American energy gets tighter. But the most dangerous geographic advantage Canada has over America is one most people have never heard of: the Arctic. Climate change is melting the polar ice cap, and that's opening up new shipping routes through the Arctic Ocean. Therefore, these routes could become the most important trade highways in the world. And guess who controls access to them? Canada. The Northwest Passage, the Arctic shipping route that connects the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans, runs entirely through Canadian territorial waters.
So if we need to use those routes, or we're getting like something exported, through those routes, Canada, could they possibly charge us? Well, yeah, they could charge us. So say they don't cut everything off, Canada could decide, oh, well, we're going to tax you a little extra then for all of this. We're going to charge you more. We're not going to cut it off because Mark Carney doesn't just think for himself. I know he's pissed and angry, and him cutting everything off just to rub it in Trump's face will probably make his day for life. You probably make him happy for life. But affecting the people of that country who had nothing to really do. Well, y'all did vote. Y'all did vote for the person. Y'all did vote for the person. You did vote. Never mind. Scratch that. Y'all voted, bro. Don't be mad when you get the same consequences as your president. Don't do that. Oh, do that. I'm done.
Atlantic and Pacific Oceans runs entire.
Canada finna charge us upscale. If they're not cutting it off, we getting charged 100%. You better hope they don't cut it off.
Entirely through Canadian territorial waters. Therefore, Canada could theoretically control shipping between Asia and Europe, cutting America out of the most lucrative trade routes on the planet. But here's where the geography gets really interesting. The Arctic isn't just about shipping, it's about resources. The Arctic Ocean contains an estimated 13% of the world's oil reserves and 30% of its natural gas. And most of the land-based access to these resources runs through Canadian territory. Therefore, as the ice melts and these resources become accessible, Canada will control access to some of the largest untapped energy reserves on Earth. But it gets even more strategic. The Arctic is becoming the new front line in the competition between America, Russia, and China. Russia is building military bases across their Arctic coastline. China is investing billions in Arctic shipping infrastructure. And America has to ask Canada for permission to access most of the Arctic. Therefore, Canada sits between America and the most strategically important region of the 21st century. But here's the geographic nightmare scenario that keeps military planners awake. What if Canada ever aligned with China or Russia? China is already Canada's second largest trading partner. They're investing heavily in Canadian mining and energy companies. And they're building infrastructure to ship Canadian resources directly to Asia through the Arctic. Therefore, Canada could theoretically cut America out of Arctic trade entirely and redirect their resources to China instead.
Absolutely.
And there's nothing America could do about it. The Arctic is too remote to invade, too vast to control, and too important to ignore. Therefore, America's future dominance depends on a country they can't control maintaining access to a region they can't reach.
Wow.
But there's one more geographic advantage that makes Canada truly dangerous: critical minerals. Canada controls massive reserves of lithium, cobalt, nickel, and rare earth elements. These are the materials that power electric car batteries, solar panels, and wind turbines. Therefore, as America transitions to renewable energy, they're becoming completely dependent on Canadian minerals. But here's where the geography creates a perfect storm. Most of these minerals are located in northern Canada, the same remote regions that are impossible to defend and impossible to invade. And China knows this. They're already investing billions in Canadian mining operations, buying up mineral rights, and building infrastructure to ship these materials directly to Asia. Therefore, Canada could wake up one day and realize they control the materials that power the global economy. But here's the really scary part for
if he made this amazing video on this, a gazillion percent. The Prime Minister, yeah, they've all been thinking about it and talking about it. Or they know exactly what the country's capable of. Oh yeah.
America. Canada doesn't need American permission to sell these minerals to China. The geography works in China's favor. Arctic shipping routes make it cheaper to ship Canadian minerals to Asia than to American factories. Therefore, market forces are already pulling Canadian resources away from America. And if America ever tried to pressure Canada to restrict mineral exports to China, Canada could retaliate by cutting off water, energy, or Arctic access. Therefore, America is trapped in a geographic dependency they can't escape and can't control. Now, you might be thinking, but Canada would never use these advantages against America. They're allies. And you're probably right. But here's the thing about geography. It doesn't care about current politics. Alliances change, governments change, but geography is forever. And as Canada becomes more aware of their geographic advantages, they're starting to use them. Look at the recent disputes over Arctic sovereignty. Canada is asserting control over Arctic shipping routes and charging fees for passage. Look at the energy sector. Canada is building pipelines to ship oil to Asia instead of America, reducing their dependence on US markets. Therefore, Canada is slowly realizing they don't need America as much as America needs them.
So then what would that lead America to do? Try to reach out and negotiate possible trading deals with China? Like, oh, you're gonna give it to China? Okay. Maybe we can have, some discussions with China. That you think Trump's gonna try to do that? Yet again, he did come after China as well, bro. He came after China as well.
And climate change is accelerating this shift. As the Arctic opens up, Canada gains access to new markets and new resources that don't require American cooperation. Therefore, the geographic balance of power in North America is shifting, and most Americans have no idea it's happening. So the next time someone says America protects Canada, remember, geography tells a different story. Canada controls America's water, energy, Arctic access, and critical minerals. In other
Man, you telling me they control all this? And what do we give them in exchange? Military support. So like how Trump complained about that before, and we're giving them military support. Da 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 da. I mean, that's all we could really provide. That's all we could really provide. And we have the money, we got the military support, Yeah, I think that's an equal exchange. If not, I think it's actually not fair, to be honest. Like, yeah, it's an equal trade, but like, if you really look at it, all we have is the military support. Canada has things that affect our everyday life, that help us live, that keep this economy going and running. Literally, like America will shut down. America could shut down. A quarter of America could possibly shut down due to this. If Canada was to cut it off, like nah. This is something we have never ever seen ever in history. Ever.
Words, it quietly holds more power over America's future than any other country on Earth.
Yeah. Everyday life. You better not make no more statements and comments towards Canada, bro. They literally got us in their hand like this, like literally.
And the wildest part, most Canadians don't even realize it. But geography doesn't lie. And in the game of global power, the one who controls the resources controls the future. America may have the bigger military, but Canada has something even stronger.
Didn't I just say that? I just said that. That's all we have is the military. Man, we could go do business with other countries, make some money, and have respectable, loyal, trading partners. And we can have support from their military, including our military. We can come together. Do fair business. Rather than this right here, we could still get it, if not even more.
If you thought Canada was just the friendly neighbor up north, think again. This is just the beginning. I'm diving deep into how geography shapes power, conflict, and survival across the globe. And trust me, the next twist will blow your mind. So hit subscribe and stay tuned. The next episode might just change the way you see the world map forever.
Shout out to GeoZyra. Original video link will be down below in the description. This was an amazing video. Thank you everyone for recommending this video. Reacting to how Canada quietly holds America's survival hostage. And literally. Now, I don't know if you guys were aware of this. I wasn't so aware of this. I knew that Canada had a lot over us that, Trump wasn't really thinking about before. Because he just wasn't digging that deep. He was focused on his own needs and wants. But there was so much more in this video that I honestly didn't know. You know how much control Canada literally has over the United States? It's like half. It's like maybe... Realistically, because we're looking at the total damage so far from people just not visiting. Now imagine cutting off these great benefits from Canada. Cutting off the water, oil, shipping routes. What? I could keep going to energy. We could keep it going. Then what does that leave us? Since we are Canada's #1 consumer, towards all the perks, that the country offers to us, Canada's going to charge us. We could possibly be Canada's highest paying country, which we will be if Mark Carney decides, oh, we're going to charge them for all of this. And we're going to cut this off and cut that off, But it just hasn't happened yet. And I don't think he would really do that. But this video has definitely made it more known. Should I say more obvious to the fact that Canada has full control over the United States. Full? Yes, full control. I'm saying yes, full control, because it's gotten to that point. How can you surround yourself around a country and rely on them? Literally rely on them solely for the things that we use on a daily basis. Things that we didn't have to pay for before. We was getting it for free because we were allies and we had such a great relationship our whole lives. There's other countries who wanted our position. They just wasn't getting it for free. Plus, they're too far. So you're definitely not getting it for free. It's not that easy. It's not next door. And now they actually get to do business and works with Canada. It's a dream come true. And us, we lost out. We missed out on that opportunity. We literally lost and missed out on that opportunity when we had the most, we had the best, and we had the most coming from another country to ours that no other country could possibly get. And we screwed it up. This is going down in history, bro. This is going down in history. I can't wait for them to teach this in the schools. My sister gets older. I hope they teach her about this in the schools. Because if not, I will. And I bet you they're going to try to cover up some things, bro. I bet you throughout the history, they're going to try to cover up some things that happened and this and that. Or some of the words. And they're going to say that Canada decided to just turn on us, bro. How much you want to bet? 30, 40 years from now, how much you want to bet? The education system is screwed, bro. Y'all not. I feel bad for the younger generation because you're not gonna get the same information that we just watched from this video. You're not. You're not gonna get that same information that we just got. Nor are you gonna watch the same videos. Oh my gosh. Ah, it's doomed. I feel bad for the upcoming generations because they're gonna really wonder and be like, why are the prices this high? They're gonna think it's normal because it's the times they grew up in. But realistically, us Americans that are adults, we are going to experience a drastic change, a permanent drastic change. And I don't know if it'll be permanent. You know, we'll see when he gets out of office. We'll see when he gets out of office. But it would definitely never be the same ever, 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 ever again, considering that it's happened one time already. One time is enough. One time, it's like being in a relationship and that person cheat on you one time and they do something that's a little iffy. Like, whoa, you've never done that out of all these. Now you do. That loyalty, that trust, that love is gone. That care for them is gone. You could care less about. Man, you focused on your own self now. You trying to do better for yourself. Focus on your life because you can't trust them. You don't know what they got going on, or if they might leave you or cheat on you or be disloyal to you. You know what I'm saying? I'm using a relationship as a reference to this right here. It will never be the same. Things will never, ever, 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 ever be the same. It will never recover. And if it did, there's going to be some type of, should I say, border in between. Something that's truly holding back those two countries from gaining that relationship it used to have. And it'll forever be like that. Guys, feel free to share your honest thoughts in comments down below. Thank you so much for joining me today. Feel free to follow the Twitch and subscribe to all my other YouTube channels down below in the description. I personally have no more projections, should I say. This video pretty much sums it all up. I have no more projections towards Canada doing this to the US doing this towards Canada. I want it all to stop and come to an end. And I want our government to wake up and realize what we are losing and what we have had access to, you know, without even having to pay. Without even having to pay. It was like, you know, we was getting comfortable, you know, a little too ungrateful. This is what happens, man. This is exactly what happens. And us people got to go through it, though. Because the president is rich. The government is rich. It's us people who going to have to pay the extra prices for gas, water, or should I petrol? Oil, petrol. I almost said petrol oil. Petrol, water, electricity, exports, like the shipping routes. But that don't got nothing to do with us. Oh, actually it does, because they could put more taxes on the items. They could literally double the price of the items. It's just too much, man. And it leaves me wonder, does the government even care? Were they even thinking about this before? And even if they did they even care? Because it's like, at the end of the day, who's really going to have to face it? You know, not the people representing, you know, on Trump's behalf or in the government, Supreme Courts and everything. No. But the people living on a day-to-day basis who aren't involved in the government and in the politics on a day-to-day basis. Like, that's not our career. That's not our job. You know what I'm saying? We are regular civilians. It's going to affect us the most. Seriously. It's going to affect us the most. It's going to put our country more in debt. It's going to put people more in debt. We got higher prices and everything. It don't make no sense. Stay safe, everyone. I love you all. And I hope to catch you all in the next reaction video, man. Please share your projections, your future projections, because every projection I've shared so far has been accurate.